Are you ready for the best 2024 NFL bets around? Then get ready for this week's Week 4 IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. Welcome back to the IDP Plus Moneyline Podcast. My name is Johnny the Greek. I am not joined tonight by the IDP tipster. We actually were talking a little bit this past week and decided that we're going to break this up into two different podcasts. Double your fun, double your pleasure. So we're going to have the IDP props only from Gary. A lot of sack props, a lot of tackle props, good stuff there. Gary's been doing this for well over a decade, so you're in very good hands there. And then I'll be concentrating on the money lines, the overs, the unders, the offensive props myself on this end of things. So this is the first week of us doing that. So that's where we stand. Before we get into it tonight, these are not even suggestions. I'm literally just discussing the bets I might be making personally. Set a limit and stick to it. For help with problem gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, quick review. Last week, 2-1 on the article. 6-4 overall in the podcast. Still on the winning side of things, still looking good. All right, let's get into it. We're gonna get into week 4 here. Let's start with the Sunday 1:00 games. First one is Broncos at Jets. If you wanted to look at spreads, the Broncos are getting 7.5. Jets are giving 7.5. The over/under is 39.5 points at -110 either way. Money line is Denver plus 330, Jets minus 425. There is a bet I do like for this one. Rushing prop for Breece Hall, over 60 alt rush yards at -180. You could tweak that up to 70 if you want. That's probably still going to happen as well, and that's a slightly better price. But I'm going to say 60 at -180. So here's the deal with Denver and their defense. Patrick Surtain, awesome cornerback, is going to be very effective in pass defense. Riley Moss, the new other starting cornerback on the other side, just as effective so far. He was PFF's #1 overall rated cornerback last week and has been solid to start the season. The Denver pass defense is second in the league right now. However, they are only 21st overall for rush defense, allowing 126 yards per game on the ground. And they just lost Alex Singleton, their all-pro middle linebacker for the season for an ACL tear. So they are vulnerable to the run, not so much to the pass. And for Breece Hall, Pro Bowl running back, to get 60 rush yards on the ground feels pretty likely. So that is my first favorite bet for this week. Broncos Jets, Breece Hall, 60 alt rush yards at -180. All right, that takes us to the next 1:00 game on Sunday, Vikings at Packers. As things stand right now, the Vikings are the Vikings are getting 3 points. The Packers are giving 3 points. Over under 44 points at -110 either way. If you want money line on this, it's Vikings plus 124, Packers -148. All right. So what I like for this one is, I mean, it's going to be a shitty price. I'm going to be upfront with you here, but the way to get around that, and we've talked about this before, is parlay round robin, not just parlay, because with a parlay, if any one thing goes wrong, you're screwed. Everything's gone and you can flush it down the toilet. If you parlay round robin, you can get things wrong, more than one thing wrong, and still end up with a profit at the end of it. And it's a good way to take crappy prices, put them together, and still make a profit at the end of the day. So speech over with that. So what I like for Vikings Packers is over 39.5 alt line at -196 for the total. So Minnesota is third in the league for points per game. Green Bay is seventh in the league for points per game at 28.3 and 25 respectively per game each week. So, just with that in mind, they should clear that line rather easily. Jordan Love is back this week. Jordan Addison has been practicing the last 2 days. He should be back this week. But, what gives me pause here is this is a divisional game. Both of these defenses have been absolutely stellar to start the season. These guys know each other. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. So I don't know if we're going to get the shootout we want. So instead of the normal 44-point over-under here, let's dial it back a few points, go over 39.5 alt line at -196. That little bit of a buffer should give us what we need to get over this rather easily. So that's what I like for Vikings Packers. Alrighty, moving on to the third 1 o'clock game for this Sunday. We got Steelers at the Colts this week. Right now, the Steelers are -1.5. Colts are getting 1.5. Over under of 40. If you went money line, it's Steelers -125. Colts +105. I'm going to take the Steelers money line here at -125. So Indianapolis is the 31st overall, also known as second worst rush defense in the league right now. Dallas is the worst, which shouldn't be shocking to anyone, but Indianapolis is the second worst, right? They do not have DeForest Buckner. He's still on the short-term IR. Kenny Moore hasn't practiced yet this week. He's an excellent run stopper as a corner himself. Juju Brents is already gone for the season. So their defense is hurt. It's not doing well, and it can't defend the run right now. Pittsburgh loves to run. That's their thing. That's their MO. Play solid defense, run the ball, control time of possession, limit mistakes, and just slowly choke the other team to death. That is set up perfectly against this Indianapolis team right now. So Pittsburgh is the 10th overall rush offense in the league right now. They are also first overall in the time of possession ranking. So they possess the ball a ton each week. First or second. San Fran's up there too, but yeah, first or second overall for time of possession ranking. What I'm thinking here is eventually Pittsburgh gets out in front, has a lead, and then can unleash their overall number one defense against this Colts team that cannot complete a pass. We've seen that clearly through 3 weeks now. In fact, I think Anthony Richardson hasn't been north of 17 completed passes in any game yet this season. That's not good. That's not a team that, if they get behind, can pass their way back into it and come from behind and win. If they get behind, they're toast. That's it. End of story. So I feel like this is set up perfectly for Pittsburgh to win this money line at -125, which is not a bad price at all things considered for this. So I like that one quite a bit. That's in the article this week too. So check that out if you want a little bit more detail. Alrighty, that takes us to the next 1 o'clock game this Sunday. We got Bengals at Panthers. Right now, the Bengals are favored by 4.5. Panthers are getting 4.5. Over under 47 points. If you went money line, it's Bengals -205, Panthers +170. And here's what I want to do with this. I want to take Panthers with the points, but I want to do an alt line. Panthers +7.5 alt line. That kills the price a little bit, but only -181, which isn't too bad. And here's what I'm thinking. So Andy Dalton brought this team back to life last week. Legitimately, he gave Deontay Johnson value again. He gave Adam Thielen value again for a week. He's on IR now, but he did give him value again. He gave Chuba Hubbard value again last week by having a competent veteran quarterback under center for the Panthers last week. They were a completely different team. With all that in mind, I think Cincinnati should win this game, or rather has to win this game if they, want any hope of making the playoffs this year or being involved in that division. But I think it's going to be close. And I think, the Vegas line of 4.5 is probably pretty damn accurate. But, I don't trust Vegas, and neither should you. They design these lines and these over-unders on purpose to kind of make sure they get us, right? So I want to tweak it a little bit to be safer, to make sure we win this. I want to use that +7.5 alt line at -181. Unfortunately, we've only had 1 week of Andy Dalton, so no real stats to look at. This one's more of just a gut feeling. But I do think, based on it started watching football at 5. So what's that? 36 years of watching football and 22 years of playing fantasy football and 8 years of writing fantasy football. I've got a gut feeling, and those are usually pretty accurate. That the Panthers keep this close, and with them getting 7.5 with the alt line, I think we're good here. I think that'll work. So that's what I like for that one. Panthers +7.5 alt line -181. And that takes us to the Rams at the Bears, also a 1 o'clock game this Sunday. Rams are actually getting 3, which I thought was interesting when I first saw this. And the Bears are giving 3, over under 41 points, which seems about right. Money line is Rams plus 130, Bears minus 155. I like the Rams money line upset here at plus 130, a plus money upset, just like last week with the Green Bay call we made. That was a plus money upset. I think this is a mistake on Vegas's part. So Caleb Williams has been bad, and the Rams are a plucky veteran team that just took out the San Francisco 49ers. While Chicago lost to Indianapolis, which is not a great team at all last week, right? So Chicago is the third worst offense in yards per game right now. They're only scoring 17 points per game, which is 11th worst overall in the league right now. And Caleb Williams has been sacked 13 times in 3 games and has 4 interceptions already. So I mean that kind of tells the story right there. I will take Matt Stafford, even without his favorite weapons. I'll take Matt Stafford, the veteran Super Bowl winning quarterback, over a struggling rookie that has clearly not figured it out yet, every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So, yeah, probably a little risky, probably going to be a close game, but I think when it's all said and done, the Rams win and it's a plus money upset, and we love those. So that's the call on that one. Alrighty, next 1 o'clock game is should be a good one. Eagles at Bucs. So we've got the Eagles are giving a point and a half. The Bucs are getting a point and a half. Over under of 43. If we went money line, it's Eagles minus 130, Bucs plus 110. And I have no idea how this is going to go. If I had to take a stab in the dark, I'd say probably Tampa Bay, but it's too close to call, right? So this is a true pick 'em right here. So I would pivot on this, and if you're an IDP fan and you do IDP props, I'd go Lavonte David tackle props over this week against the Philadelphia rushing attack that's 5th overall in the league for attempts per game and is powered by a clearly reinvigorated Saquon Barkley. That feels like, unless his tackle line is ridiculous at like 9.5, 10.5 or something, feels like it should be a good day for Lavonte David. So that's where I would go with that one. The game itself, I really have no idea. Alrighty. Next one is going to be Jags at Texans, another 1 o'clock game here. So the Jags are getting 6.5. The Texans are giving 6.5. Over under 45.5 for this one. Money line is Jags plus 225, Texans minus 278. So this is another one I wrote up in the article this week. I said I want to take the Texans, minus the 6.5 at minus 110. This feels like a pretty easy bounce back game for them after losing last week to Houston. So the Jags are the 27th overall offense in the league. That's not good. They are 30th in points per game. That's not good. And they are away against a playoff caliber Houston Texans team that has the 8th overall passing offense. And is in a good position to take advantage of that horrendous Jaguars pass defense. That same pass defense that's missing Tyson Campbell and is now missing Foye Oluokun for the next 3 weeks or so. The Jaguars are 29th in the league for time of possession. Houston is 5th. That's not great at all. That means a lot of 3 and outs for Jacksonville. And when Houston has the ball, they're possessing it for long periods of time and are going to wear out this already suspect Jaguars defense, pretty quickly. But by the third or fourth quarter, these guys are going to be gassed, and those little plays are going to turn into chunk plays and splash plays and touchdowns. Those 2-3 yard runs become 10, 15-yard runs against a gas defense that's losing the time of possession battle. So this kind of, writes itself, I think. I think this is a good bounce back game for the Texans. I think they cover the 6.5 at minus 110. And yeah, I know Jacksonville does not want to go 0-4 statistically. If that happens, they're not going to the playoffs. But it is what it is. The Texans are a better team across the board, and they also lost a game last week. So they're going to be hungry to get the ship back on course. And I think they got a better chance of making that happen. So that's what we're going with for that one. All righty. Next one is going to be Saints at Falcons, another 1 o'clock game. Saints are at plus 2.5, Falcons minus 2.5, over under of 42 points. If you went money line, it's Saints plus 114, Falcons minus 135. Yeah, I'm not sure about this either. This is a divisional game. The 2.5 point spread is essentially a pick 'em. That's what Vegas is saying. They're not entirely sure, and I'm not entirely sure either. What I would pivot to instead is Troy Anderson or Kaden Ellis, tackle props overs against the third overall team in the league for rushing attempts per game. That is also fifth in the league for rushing yards per game. I was a little worried about Alvin Kamara and his health, but it looks like that is not really a problem anymore. He practiced today, so I think he is good to go. So yeah, that looks good. And Troy Anderson crushed his tackle props last week. He absolutely destroyed them. So no issues there whatsoever. All righty. That takes us to the first 4 o'clock game. It is going to be Patriots trying to get the ship back on track here against the 49ers, going to San Francisco. Current spreads are Pats minus 10.5. Excuse me, Patriots getting 10.5, San Francisco giving 10.5, 40.5 points for the over-under. If you went money line, it's Patriots plus 425, Niners minus 575, which is absolutely batshit insane. That's Vegas telling us that they're pretty sure San Francisco is gonna win there. To the tune of you'd have to bet 575 to win $100. That's not great. That's not great at all. Alrighty. So here's what I'm thinking for this one. This one is also in the article. I'm going to go San Francisco minus 6.5 as an alt line. So the normal spread of minus 10.5 does not make sense for several reasons, right? So 10.5 is not a good number to bet on for a spread to begin with. 10, sure. 6.5, sure. 2.5, sure. You want to cover the field goal win, the touchdown win, and the touchdown and the field goal win together, right? But any of these like 11-point wins or 8-point wins, statistically, mathematically, you're not going to see that as often. So you're just setting yourself up to be screwed by a point when you do something like that. So I'm going to lower it down to San Francisco minus 6.5. So they just have to win by a touchdown. It is minus 192, but once again, parlay round robin, you'll be fine. This alt line is kind of threading the needle between this should be a bloodbath and the Niners have sucked ass recently, right? It's somewhere in the middle there. The current spread that Vegas has is assuming we're getting the Super Bowl participant 49ers that we saw last season. We have not seen those guys yet this year. So I'm going to play it a little bit safer, use that minus 6.5 alt line. This should work out. San Francisco's the number one time of possession team in the league. So yeah, that the other guys we were talking about earlier were number 2. My bad on that. Pittsburgh, I believe it was. They possess the ball for 36 minutes a game. They are the number 10 rushing offense. There's no Jawan Bentley for the Patriots this week. They are on the road. They're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for linebackers here. They're starting Raekwon McMillan is essentially a full-time guy. That's not a great linebacker traditionally. So yeah, I mean, they've got some issues. They've got some injury issues. And then offensively, that's where the real problem is for the Patriots. They are the worst passing attack in the league, period. Number 32 overall. If they get into a negative game script away at the Niners, which is likely to happen, it's a wrap. It's going to be a Nick Bosa party at that point. He'll be able to just kind of tee off and do his thing. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's be a little safe with this. Let's go minus 6.5 alt line at minus 192 for the Niners, and hopefully that will do the trick for us. They're clearly a good team. They just got to figure their shit out and get back on track. Okie dokie. That takes us to the next 4 o'clock game. That is going to be Commanders at Cardinals. So Washington is getting 3.5. Arizona is giving 3.5. Massive over under here of 50 points. So Vegas thinks we're getting a shootout. I tend to agree. If we went money line, it's Washington plus 145, Arizona minus 175. I'm going to take the Cardinals money line here at minus 175. Not a lot of science behind this, but they did almost beat Buffalo. I believe that was at their place. And they did beat the Los Angeles Rams. and they just hung with the Detroit Lions. They've gone toe to toe with the big boys, and they've looked solid doing so. So, this is just a gut feeling here, but I will take Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. Over Washington, even without Trey McBride, any day of the week. I was going to say abandon ship if Marvin Harrison Jr. can't play this week, but he did practice in a limited fashion today. So he's looking likely to play. Not a lot of science behind this one, but I do have a good feeling about it. I feel like Arizona wins, probably a close one, probably a good one, but I do feel like they win at the end. So Cardinals money line minus 175. Okie dokie. And that takes us to Chiefs at Chargers, another divisional game. Got quite a few of those this week. Chiefs are giving 7, Chargers are getting 7, over under of 40 points. Chiefs money line is minus 310, Chargers money line is plus 250. So I want to split the difference here a little bit, especially because as of today, it looks like Justin Herbert will play. How effective he's going to be with that ankle injury is anyone's guess, but it does look like he's going to play. And that makes this a much different game than obviously having a backup quarterback in there. So I want to play things safe here. I want to take Chiefs minus 2.5 alt line at minus 257. So even with Herbert beat up, Bosa beat up, and Derwin suspended, we've still seen this Los Angeles Chargers team play close games against the Chiefs routinely in recent history, including a 1-point win last January, 2 3-point wins in 2022, and only one win of more than 10 points for the Chiefs since 2021 against the Chargers. Plus, it's Jim Harbaugh now. It's not, whoever the hell it was before. This is clearly the best coach they've ever had. And if anyone can use smoke and mirrors in a game plan to beat the Chiefs or at least keep it pretty close, it's Harbaugh, right? So with all that in mind, I want to use a safer alt line here and eat the price difference. And we'll live with it. It's better to be right and have a crappy price than be wrong and lose outright. So that's what I'm thinking on that one. Chiefs minus 2.5, alt line minus 257. All righty. Before we get to the next 4 o'clock game, do you want a little extra in your fantasy football bankroll? Deposit just $10 with FanDuel and get $50 in bonus bets. It's the perfect boost to kickstart your season. Don't wait. Claim your bonus now at idpplus.com/FanDuel. All righty. Next 4 o'clock game is Browns at Raiders. As things stand right now, it's Browns getting 2 points, Raiders giving 2 points, over under of 37. Money line is Browns plus 105, Raiders minus 125. And I'm not sure why I even read all that because I don't have a bet for you. This is a dumpster fire situation for both teams. I have no idea how it's going to go. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick or pole. We had the Raiders last week making business decisions, quote unquote, where guys are taking plays off after the game was out of hand against the Panthers. That's not good. Guys like Jack Jones might get benched this week. Guys like Lavonte Adams might get traded. Things are not going well in Las Vegas right now. Max Crosby's hurt. I mean, he'll play through it, but that's not good. And then the Browns, I mean, you guys don't need me to talk about that. You know how much of a shit show that is right now. So yeah, I don't want to touch this one. I have no idea how it's going to go. I would just stay the hell away from it, honestly. But we do have a very good game after that. The Sunday night game this week is Bills at Ravens. Spectacular Sunday night game and kind of a weird line. So right now the Bills are getting 2.5 points and the Ravens are giving 2.5 points. Over under of 46.5. Money line is Bills plus 110. Ravens minus 130. And that kind of blew my mind. I thought for sure Buffalo was going to be favored in this thing, and they are not. So we sure as heck are going to take advantage of that. What I'm going to do is take the Bills money line upset. Legitimately, they are the only team right now that seems like it's firing on all cylinders. They have a balanced offense, which is something they have not had in years. I mean, they were working towards it around the middle of last season when they started running the ball more, but they've perfected it now. They really do have an offense where no one cares, what their stats are. They're just all there to win. And it shows that, they're running as often as they're passing. Opposing defenses are having trouble figuring out what they're going to do each week. They are also defensively, they're the 8th overall defense. They offensively, they're 7th in points per game. Oh, sorry. Let me retake that. So they're the 8th overall defense, 7th in allowing points per game, and 1st overall in points per game offensively. Even better, right? So I do know Baltimore needs to win this game more, and they're at home. But let's look at recent history, right? Baltimore nearly choked to an absolutely horrendous Dallas team last week, and then lost to an equally bad Las Vegas team the week before. Whereas the Bills have crushed everyone they've played so far this year handily and convincingly. So I'm going to go with the eyeball test here and say Bills money line upset. It is a rare plus money situation for the Buffalo Bills. I bet we'll see that maybe a couple other times this entire season. So, while it's here, let's take advantage of it. Bills money line plus 110. And that takes us to the first Monday night game. We got 2 again this week. Been a little weird with that, but more football is never bad, right? So first Monday night game this week is Titans at Dolphins. Not a great one, but it is an extra game. Right now, Tennessee is getting a point. Miami is giving a point. Over under of 36.5, which suggests a stinker, which I'm sure is exactly what we're going to get. Money line, Tennessee minus 102, Miami minus 118. You can tell just by that, Vegas has no freaking idea how this thing's going to go. And neither do I. I have no idea either. If you were hell bent on making a bet on this game, though, I'd probably go with a Will Levi interception against a pretty good Miami secondary. So Will Levi has thrown 5 picks in 3 games. That's well over 1 interception a game. And Jalen Ramsey's on the other side. Kendall Fuller probably won't be this week because he's got a concussion, but Kader Kohu's over there. They got the good they got the good safeties. They got Poyer over there. They got Javon Holland over there. They got a really good secondary and a fairly decent pass rush. And Will Levi has been thrown to the wrong team this entire season so far. So that, if you have to make a bet on this game, that's where I'd go with it. But I'm not touching this one personally. All righty. And before we get to the last Monday night game, DraftKings is making it easier to win big. Deposit $50 and get $50 in bonus bets. With IDP Plus insights and DraftKings, you'll be racking up those fantasy points in no time. Grab your bonus at idpplus.com/DraftKings. This offer expires on 10/22. Okie dokie. And that takes us to the other Monday night game this week, the good one, the one we're actually going to be watching. Seahawks at Lions. Freaking spectacular. We'll take that. So right now, Seattle is getting 3.5. Detroit is giving 3.5. Over under of 46 points. If you went money line, it's Seattle plus 150, Detroit minus 180. And yeah, I'm going to play it a little safe on this one, but I think this is fairly likely. I'm going to go over alt line 39.5 at minus 253. I'm going to eat the crappy price difference there by once again round robin parlaying it to offset some of that crappiness. But here's what I'm thinking: we got 2 stellar offenses that should clear this particular alt line with ease. We're lowering the line just in case either team starts to run away with this game and sits their starters and, are scoring, dies essentially, which could happen, right? Especially with Detroit on the other side. If Detroit gets a decent lead by halftime, those guys can just shut everything down and run the ball the rest of the game, kill the clock and win. That is something Detroit can do any given Sunday. They have the ability to just push other teams around and run it down your throat whenever they feel like it. So I don't know if we're going to get the 46 points Vegas thinks we're going to get. I'm pretty sure we're going to give 40 points, though, between these 2 teams. So let's play it safe instead of maybe not having this work out for us. Over 39.5, minus 253. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for listening. Hope you guys have a good week. Good luck with your bets. We're off to a really good start to the season. We've had a winning record every single week, and I don't plan on stopping. As more real information gets available, things become easier, and you can see the writing on the wall a bit. So we'll keep it coming. You guys have a good week. We'll catch you same time, same place next week. Have a good one. Take care. Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.